Yo guys, what's going on and welcome back to a brand new video and another episode of my F1 2019 career mode here today for round 10 of the season and the British Grand Prix, my home race here at Silverstone. If you guys did miss the last episode at Austria, round number 9, then go watch it by clicking the link in the top right hand corner of your screen guys, and go watch that video before I come back to this one, before we jump into any major spoilers. But today, here we are at Silverstone, and as you'd expect with traditional British summer, you are going to get a chance of rain in the race on Sunday. Having said that, we do have a couple of upgrades on the card this weekend. One of them for the ERS and the other one is for the rear downforce. Both of them are minor upgrades, and we do have a ultimate chassis upgrade for the brakes on the next race scheduled. So hopefully with those upgrades combined, it will mean that we should just about be able to overturn the deficit and overtake Williams to become the fourth quickest team on the grid. And we are starting to run out of upgrades in terms of actual out-and-out performance upgrades. All we've got left is just pure durability and fuel consumption with a couple of performance upgrades here and there. So we're kind of getting that Ferrari back to where it should be in terms of overall performance, and the pace was there this weekend. The car, it felt decent in practice, I was second quickest, but having said that, everybody else was on mediums, I was on the soft, so a little bit of pace to maybe improve upon it going to qualifying. Having said that, Kvyat looks quick. He looked quick all weekend long, and I think it shows the car's really getting there now. And if you compare it to where we were at Australia, which was literally pretty much as rock bottom as you could possibly get, we've really improved, and we're only 10 races into the season. So, we've done our bit, and the car's feeling really, really good. And I feel relatively confident going to qualifying that we could have a good performance. It's going to be close and competitive. I think Red Bull have quite clearly got the edge over everybody else, but I think between us, Racing Point, Alfa Romeo, it's still kind of up for grabs, even Williams as well. So we're going to see how we get on the way here in this qualifying session. And in this session, we are going to go for 3 lap runs. So, in this first one, this was actually a pretty strong opener, to be fair, to kick things off, and I was quite happy with it. The car's working well. I made some adjustments to the brakes, and they actually quite worked out quite nicely going to qualifying, giving me a bit more confidence and a bit more lap time under braking, which was really, really important. And you can see here at the end of our first run, we are going to cross the line about 3/10 off the pace of Sergio Perez, and we go P3 with a 22.8, a pretty good opener, and already my quickest lap of the weekend so far. We then move into the second run of qualifying, and this one's actually a little bit better. We find a bit of time through sector 1, 4/10 down there on Verstappen, who's now setting the pace, and we have been pushed down to 8th place, so we need to improve here. And you can see currently about 10th up as we now make our way towards the end of sector 2. We're now 2/10 up, so the lap's improving a little bit more here with a purple middle sector, and we're 4/10 down currently on pace setter Max Verstappen with a couple more corners to go here in the final sector. And you can see here through the final corner, we do lose a little bit of time in sector 3, but we still improve by 1/10.5, and we go 8th. So we don't actually change position, but we do reduce the deficit a little bit to the cars in front, and 7/10 off the lead. And there's actually a really close fight from 8th, 7th, 6th, 5th and 4th. All those guys covered by 1/10 of a second. So I know that if we hook up a good lap here, we could be on the second row of the grid, and we absolutely nail this and find 1/10 to 2/10 of a second. So here we go, moving through turn 1, flat out through here, of course, no worries whatsoever. Flat out through turn 2 as well. Now to turn 3, you want to brake as the curve appears on the left-hand side, down to 3rd gear, and be patient through here. Don't overcommit the throttle, and also easy to lock up the brakes, so be patient on both entry and exit of the corner. Really important, though, to get a nice clean exit out of turn number 4, through turn 5, onto the Wellington straight, as we now make our way down to the brake zone of Brooklands, braking at the 50-meter board, down to 4th gear eventually for the late apex, and then bring the car over to the right-hand side for the long right of Luffield, and then try and go on the taps on the gas as quick as possible. Use all the curve on the exit if you need it, and flat out through Woodcote onto the old pit complex, and now into the old turn 1 at Cops, turning at the 50-meter board, down 1 gear if you need to get a bit more turning, which is what I did, and using overtake mode at pretty much the whole lap really on the straights, because there's a lot of ERS to spare around here as we make our way through Maggots, Beckett's, and then Chapel here, the last one of them all, as you can see, kicking out into the hangar straight, opening up the DRS. And so far so good with another purple middle sector, and using overtake once again here, 2/10 off Verstappen's lap time as we make our way into Stowe, throwing the car in, really trying to get that late apex and let the car run as wide as you need it to go, and then quickly back on the brakes as the curb appears on the right hand side, down to 2nd gear, and then back on the gears on the exit through the Vale chicane, and back on the gas one more time through the final corner and across the line, and we improve by 2.5 nearly 3/10 there, and that gives us momentarily P4, 4/10 off the pace of Max Verstappen, but eventually others will improve, including Kvyat, who was behind me, and he set an absolute stonker of a lap time for P4, and only 2/10 off the Red Bulls. A really good performance and a competitive session there. You got Gasly, Kvyat, Perez, myself, Vettel, Hamilton, all of us really, really close, and in the end Kvyat out qualifies us. We get 3rd row, he gets a 2nd row, but a really good session, and again highlighting the improvement of the car, the gradual improvement over the season, and there's more yet to come. So overall, a decent qualifying here at Britain, but hopefully we can try and carry that into the race, which remember, we do have rain expected for the first part of the Grand Prix. So let's get racing and let's see how we get on for the British Grand Prix.
The pain of parting is nothing to the joy of meeting again. And how joyous indeed it is to be back at Silverstone once more for the British Grand Prix. The queues to get in this morning extended miles back down the A43, such is the enthusiasm for Formula One in this country. Silverstone circuit then. It's 3.6 miles long and has a total of 18 corners. And of course, is no stranger to the rain. There won't be any DRS available in these conditions, but the Wellington and Hangar Straights are still good opportunities to tuck into the slipstream and make a pass. And I'm joined once again by Anthony Davidson to bring you the lowdown for today's race. Let's have a chat about Williams. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within that team seems very positive at the moment. Everyone seems like they're in great spirits and having a lot of fun doing what they do, and that's definitely contributed to the performances we've seen.
It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he starts from pole position. And starting next to them is George Russell. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Gasly, Kvyat, Sergio Perez, Martinez, Vettel, Hamilton, Sainz, and Charles Leclerc, Bottas, Giovinazzi, Kevin Magnussen, and Raikkonen, Norris, Hülkenberg, Lance Stroll, and Roman Grosjean. Albon and Daniel Ricciardo fills the last spot on the grid. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
Right, so here we are then on the grid for the British Grand Prix, starting from 6th place on the 3rd row, and we've got Danica Kvyat ahead of us in P4, so fair play to him, a really good qualifying from my teammate, and the Ferrari now is starting to get pretty damn close to the top tier and the fastest possible pace. The only upgrades we have left on the car are fuel consumption upgrades and durability ones, really, so the car should be performing now to a much higher level, and we're almost there, and it's really, really good to see. If we can hold these positions and finish where we are, that'd be really, really good for us, and again, it'd be some massive points for the championship. But I think we could do better. I think there's an outside chance of a podium if we get our strategy and play our cards right here today. In terms of the strategy though, we are going to start on the intermediates. We do have a seemingly second half of the race in dry conditions, maybe even earlier than that possibly. So fuel wise, I am going to run about a lap extra fuel. I'm not going to go much heavier than that because we do have some intermediate conditions to get through first and foremost. Having said that, I think we've got a good race on our hands, and I want to try and put on a show for the home fans. Me personally, if I get a top 5, that'd be really, really good. If we can match our best finish of the season, that'd be a good result for us. Either way, let's get racing and let's see how we get on here for round number 10 of the season for the British Grand Prix. Right, here we go. Start absolutely crucial here as the 5 red lights come on at Silverstone. Lights out and away we go. We get away reasonably well actually, getting the power down quite nicely. Up towards turn 1 though. Vettel goes around the outside and makes a move on us, so we drop down the P7, which is not ideal, but I'm going to try on luck and go back down the inside at turn number 3 here on Seb. We're going to run it a bit wide to avoid him hanging it around the outside and go side by side with us. Picking up some mid-corner oversteer there, a bit too much throttle on the acceleration input there. That's going to ruin my exit, and Sebastian's going to get a little bit of a run on us here. We are going to have to defend the inside. Seb's trying to force his way through. I'm going to have to leave him some room as he has managed to get the inside, but he doesn't quite commit to the overtake. He backs out on the braking, so we'll hold on to P6 for now. It's important to stay with the leaders. The good thing is Kvyat's got himself into the top 3, so at the minute we're on for a podium as a team here, which would be a really good result for us, but we've got to try and keep our head down, keep the pace up. Sebastian again getting the run on us here as he goes to the outside. We can't do anything else in this department, our engine's fully maxed out in terms of power, so I'm just trying to hold the ERS and keep it on side for now, and we'll deploy ours in a little bit. The AI tend to use up all their battery and fuel in the first lap of the race, so I'm going to try and save mine a little bit later on, but we need to manage it a little bit better than them. So far so good though, and we're holding on to P6. Let's try and push on a little bit now and catch up to the cars in front preferably. Don't quite have the pace at the minute, I'm struggling a little bit. We are pulling away, not from Seb, but from the cars behind Sebastian, but generally speaking the pace isn't quite there at the minute. Good thing is that we're keeping Seb at a distance where he can't quite get a move on us, so we're doing a good job, but
It looks like we'll be running on a dry track soon. Back to dry shortly.
the top 5 are pulling away, so that's not ideal. Oh, yellow flag. Someone behind us possibly having an issue. We'll find out shortly who it is. So far, I can't quite tell. Okay, it looks like a Mercedes.
Clear.
Lando Norris out of the race in the Haas. No safety car or VSC, so we continue on our way. Struggling to get the rear traction down there quite badly. Seb will get very close, but he doesn't quite commit to a move down the inside of turn 1, luckily for us. I'm just not quite on the pace here, unfortunately. The track's starting to dry out. The Red Bulls are starting to stretch their legs out front and set the lap times as they pull away from the other guys behind them. Sebastian's going to get the run here. He's going to go to the inside at turn 1. This is going to be all good. We're going to hold it though. Seb again backs out. We make it very tricky for him to commit on the inside, making it very narrow for him. And that will take some pressure off, but we lose the back end and the braking slightly here, just really struggling for any kind of pace in these conditions. Like I said before, and if it's going to rain, it suits me to have much heavier rain. This light rain doesn't suit me. I'm okay for pace, but the AI is really, really good. And they're still quite decent on traction, which is something that gets eradicated once the full rain comes down. Could be worth pitting for dryers. I'm going to start for one more though and play it safe. There is still quite a decent amount of spray coming off the intermediates. If we do box, I may go straight for the hard tyres and go to the finish because it's a very slow pit lane. And Sebastian goes to the outside this time. It's a slow pit lane and a two-stopper could be quite, not ideal for time. You might lose quite a bit if you stop twice, so I may consider going straight to the hard tyres. We might struggle a bit in the first phase, as we always do, but the strategy worked in the past this season and I might try it again. Another lap we're going to stay out for. Track is drying out and the cars are starting to stack up behind me. These are my worst conditions. When it's drying up like this, I've got 0 pace. I am on max difficulty, but it should make a difference. Oh, Seb looks for the move again. It's times like these when I hate this game and I don't enjoy it, because these conditions, I can't do nothing about it. Look at my tyres. I can't do nothing about this. The AI don't have this problem, I always do.
DRS has been enabled. DRS is now enabled.
Well, I'm going to pit in. I'm going to gamble.
Okay, we can take you this lap.
I'm going to go for it. I've got the medium tire selected. I don't know whether to take a risk. This is really interesting. I'm gonna take a risk on the medium and try and get that to the finish. I'm going to try it. It'll be a better tire, it'll be more grip. I think I'm going to get held up as well for good measure here by the Renault behind me. Yep, there it is. Damn it. Right, Hulkenberg goes into medium, so he's doing the same thing as me. I think we've called this right. I think I've got a chance here. If I have a good lap, I could maybe try and pull away. I feel like the track's in that kind of greasy in-between stage. That's not really that fun to drive, but hopefully we'll have the benefit and we can gain some time.
Pit strategy complete. See these tyres through to the end now.
That was a very scary pit exit. I held my breath there. Let's see where the conditions are at. Again, these conditions don't suit me. The AI always very good when going onto the dry tyres after a rain period, so I'm expecting Hulkenberg to be on my gearbox by the end of the lap. But it does feel like dry tyres is the way to go. I'm very surprised AI didn't pit on that lap. Very surprised indeed. If he had pits, Verstappen sets a purple lamp, so he continues on his way, I believe. Potentially... Oh, Leclerc's out in the Williams. That's another retirement. One of the heavy hitters. Well, let's see where we are. I'm curious. Purple middle sector.
Caution, caution. Caution, caution. Yellow flags ahead. No overtaking through the caution zone. Be careful until you see the greens.
There's Leclerc. He's pulled over.
Green flag.
He's pulled over. Doesn't he make a way through the final chicane here. Let's see if we actually manage to stay in front, because I'm not too confident I would have stayed in front of Sebastian Vettel. These things never seem to work out well for me. It's all purple sectors though, which is looking good. And there I just saw Vettel in the pit exit. He's been jumped by a few cars, so we are comfortably back into P8, which is good. And there's still cars at the pit, I believe, so we might be making some progress here. We might have timed that beautifully to get us back in the race. Okay, we've got the final intermediate runners in the pit lane. Track's still not quite there yet for the dry tyres. It still feels very on edge, but this tyre's definitely the way to go. Purple lap, and we take P6. So there we go. That's where we are. Back to where we started. Oh, run a bit wide there. That's the track extension. And like I said, the track grip isn't quite there yet, so we've got to be careful. Unfortunately, no progress made on the top 6. Having said that, I think Kvyat's into P2 because one of the Red Bulls had to stay out for another lap, and that's cost him quite dearly. But unfortunately, I don't think we're in this race, which is a real shame, because I think everybody's going to the finish. Yellow flag behind.
Virtual safety car, virtual safety car. Reduce speed immediately and keep a positive delta.
Something happened at Stowe. VSC, either way, we're going to get a chance to save a bit of fuel here and keep tire temperatures under control. There's the restart. Pretty decent VSC period. That worked out okay for us. That's given the track a chance to dry out even more. Now you're going to see the true pace. We've got Hamilton behind us in the racing point. If we can finish ahead of him, I'll be really happy. That's the target. Pace is good. We're kind of matching the guys in front, which is more or less what I expect in the dry conditions. Hamilton's not really making any progress on us as well, which is perfect. So we're kind of scheduled to stay here.
Quick tyre update for you. Everything's looking nice and tidy on our end. Let us know if you start to feel any issues.
Tyres do feel fine. Just kind of monitoring the pace at the minute. I've turned the engine down to the standard engine revs. I'm charging up my battery slowly. And Hamilton is making a small dent into my gap, but not a major one. We've got this under control really. The one concern is Sebastian Vettel, who is on the comeback trail, and he's behind Lewis. He's starting to catch him quite quickly. So I think Seb could be more of a threat than Lewis in this race, but I think he's going to run out of laps either way. I should be able to run ERS next lap, and that should be okay to run in hot lap to the finish now on most laps. So we've pretty much covered ourselves now, which is good. Personal best, just responding a little bit on the pace just to keep Lewis and Seb at bay, which is important. It's because in these closing stages the AI tend to pick up their lap times a bit. So just trying to keep him away. And another personal best, that's using up the rest of my reserves pretty much. But that will keep the guys behind now, I think, to the finish. Here we go then, last lap of the race. Making our way into Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel. It's not been a classic, unfortunately, and I do apologise for that. Not every race can be a 5-star classic, and you know, I didn't particularly enjoy this one. I knew the race was over the second I saw the weather conditions at the start, but some races are like that. Either way, Hamilton's just put some last-minute pressure on, but it's not going to be enough as we make our way through the final few corners here. And it's been a decent race. At least the best thing is we're going to finish where we started, which is, you know, the least I can ask for. But it's not the race I hoped for, which is the big difference. Oh, either way, it's a strong performance, and hopefully we can learn from this. But P6 in the British Grand Prix, it's okay.
That's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Fermé.
Victory for the team from Milton Keynes then, after a quality performance. Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
Well, I know it's a bit of a boring answer, but the truth is they simply had the best speed package on the day, and a driver who knows how to take advantage of that. It doesn't matter how much time you spend poring over the stats and planning strategies if you can't keep the pace, and our winner today showed they could do both.
Red Bull put up an outstanding fight for the front position today, and it's great to see it paid off for them. They do so much for the sport that you can't help but be delighted by today's race win.
Right, so here we have the final race results then for the British Grand Prix, and George Russell wins it actually. He beats Max Verstappen to the finish, and in his home Grand Prix he wins it for Red Bull. Really good result for him, and Max Verstappen got second place with the fastest lap, but George Russell on a one-stop strategy, but starting from second place, managed to overturn his teammate. I'm really surprised because Verstappen's OP AI is so much better than Russell's on this game, so really surprising. Danny Kvyat though, the good news, he scores our first podium of the season, so really happy for that. happy for him, and it's good to see the progress of our car all season long. You know, if you compare to Australia, where we was absolutely rock bottom last by quite some margin. You know, mid-season, 10 races in by the British Grand Prix, we're already back on the podium, which is really, really good, and a massive sign of recovery. But Perez P4, Gasly P5, and then we come home P6. Half a minute pretty much behind the leader, which is not great, and also we was pretty much double the time behind Kvyat, so not great for us, and we need to improve. Hamilton P7, Sebastian Vettel P8, Giovinazzi 9th, and Bottas runs at the top 10 here today. Missing out on the points, we have Sainz, Magnussen, Stroll, Raikkonen, Grosjean, Ricciardo, Hulkenberg, and Albon, with Leclerc and Norris retiring from the Grand Prix here today. In terms of what that race, though, means for the standings, you can see now on screen, Verstappen leads by 44 points over George Russell, who overtakes Perez for second place. Danny Kvyat up to 8th place and overtakes Magnussen with that podium finish, and we are 1 point behind the Danes. So we're making progress, and slowly but surely we are climbing back up the order as we make our way into the start of the second half of the season. In terms of the constructor standings, we are currently in P5, and we're closing that deficit to Williams quite rapidly, which is good to see. So hopefully, with the upgrade on the next race, we should become the 4th quickest car, because we do have an ultimate brakes upgrade on the way. But guys, I'm going to save up the points. I'm going to try and prepare a big upgrade package moving into the second half of the season. But if you guys enjoyed this video, drop a like on the video, and also subscribe if you are new, guys, for daily Formula 1 content. And also check out these 2 videos, guys, on your screen if you have missed them. And also turn on notifications if you haven't done so already to not miss out on any future content from me, whether that may be F1 or Assetto Corsa. But guys, that is it for this video here today. And if you guys enjoyed, like I said, drop a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in my next episode very soon for the German Grand Prix, in which we'll have some big upgrades in the car. But until then, it's goodbye from me.